So many sales reps don't understand why they didn't close certain prospects, and it happens weekly. They come out of a call and thinking, what happened there? How did that end up in a follow-up? It's perfect for them, they want it, they need it, they ask questions, but for some reason they didn't get over the line. That's mainly the problem. You didn't get them over the line. Now, they think it's an objection problem. It was oh, I need to think about it. But really, you didn't handle the objection properly. And a lot of this comes from framework. Our framework that we go into all the time is crystal clear, and I'll get into that in just one moment. Just before we do that, who am I? My name's Adam Davies. I'm the CEO and founder of Sales Chief. We're a UK-based sales recruitment company, sales management company, sales training company. We work with businesses, probably exactly like lots of the businesses that are watching this video now, in the high ticket space, coaching companies, agencies, and service-based businesses, and we help them grow and scale their sales team. We've been doing this for some time now. We've helped hundreds of businesses, probably exactly like yours. So if you want to find out a little bit more about that, do it below. If you're a salesperson looking for placements, we run a UK high ticket job board with completely free training, probably exactly like this, in the job board. So feel free, in the description, take a look at that, and you can join. You can find out how to join our rolodex of talent and potentially be placed in some of the roles for our clients as well. So let's get back into this objection handling framework, because on the surface, it's very, very straightforward. The process that you need and the framework you need to follow to handle objections stays the same every single time. It's acknowledge the objection, isolate the objection, handle it, reclose. And it's that last bit that it just is missing every single time. Salespeople are very, very good at doing the whole acknowledgement. Sometimes they miss the isolation, so they're barking up the wrong tree sometimes, but good salespeople that are good at handling objections do the isolation bit very, very well. Then they do the handle bit, great. They handle objections like a boss. But the problem is once they've handled it, it's just silence. So your prospect at that stage is kind of relying on you to help them get over the line. They're looking for that leadership at that stage. But when you're silent and you handle the objection, you're sitting there all smug because you've just handled an objection, and their brain's just going into overload. They're not thinking, shall I, shan't I? They're just thinking, like, what's an excuse? And they go, no, I just need to think about it. Can you just give me a day? I'm not ready. But you gave them that ability to do it. They needed you at that stage, and that close at the end was the thing that was missing. That little arm around the shoulder and walking them over the finish line is what they actually needed at that stage. So something like, let's do this. But let's jump back. So the first stage of the framework is going to be acknowledge. When you're acknowledging the objection, it's really, really important that you're not accepting it or agreeing with it, because there's a difference between the two. The old saying used to be, back in the day, you had to say, I hear you. I don't agree with you, I hear you. I mean, we don't necessarily use that terminology now, but you can use that. But I completely get what you mean. I understand where you're coming from. Those types of terminology doesn't necessarily mean I agree with you. We're not justifying and setting that objection in stone and making them like 100% right. So they're not going, you're absolutely right, unless you're going to try and manipulate it in some way later. But again, I don't think that's the best way to handle objections. But I completely get what you're saying. Then we can move into the isolation now. So isolation used to be, is it that one thing that's stopping you from moving forward today, or is it something else? Again, it doesn't necessarily work like that. So I'm going to give you an example with a price-based objection, for example. So if they said, look, it's just too expensive for me right now. I completely get where you're coming from. You need to make sure it's in your budget and all that kind of stuff. But can I just ask you a quick question? Put the money to the side just for one moment. Are you 1,000% sure, beyond doubt, that this is exactly what's going to help you get towards whatever their goal is? And we're going to get an answer here. We're either going to get a absolutely, or we're going to get a yeah. That second one might as well have been no. So that's your isolation. We now know that it's not money, it's something else that they're trying to mask in that objection with, which is probably value or something else. We'll get into that in a moment. And this will be different for every type of objection, but you need to make sure that you've got that isolation in there. You're thinking off the back of your head. You're not just using cheesy lines all the time, but if you've got a framework, it means that you can kind of adapt it to their situation and you can personalize it to them as well. Now, with objections, the most important part about the isolation is you're going to then identify whether it's a real objection or a smokescreen objection. Because in that price-based example, if they go, well, yeah, we know that that was actually a smokescreen objection for a real objection, we can just kind of call it. Well, look, you didn't sound the most convincing. That's not the most convincing of yeses I've heard today, I'll be very honest with you. Sounds like there's some hesitation coming from somewhere. Where's the alarm bells coming from? Where's the hesitation coming from? And they'll tell you, and it's going to come from fear, risk, trust, or a logistical based objection. Fear of the unknown, fear of stepping outside their comfort zone. Like there's lots of different fears. Fear of success, fear of failure. Trust, do they trust you? Do they trust your brand? Do they trust your organization? Have they been burnt before? Risk, will it work for them? Or a logistical based objection. Now, the other three you're going to actually handle with, you can do a risk reversal. There's lots of different ways. This isn't objection handling YouTube video. It's just that kind of framework part. But I'll post a link at the end of this video going through some objection handles for you so you can actually go through them. But if it's a logistical based objection, you're just going to solve that challenge for them. Because again, that kind of works as your isolation there as well. Because if it's well, look, I just need to liquidate some cash and then I'm good to go. And you go down the route of, well, look, I don't want you to miss out on this, whatever it is you're going to say, look, let's get you up and running today then. Let's do a small deposit. That means that I can get you started, I can get everything out, and you can actually start your learning straight away. Whatever it is you're going to do to kind of justify that. And then it gives you a couple of days then just to liquidate the money, and it takes the pressure off with that. If they go, no, that means that wasn't the problem. There was something else, and that's actually a smokescreen. So that means you've tried to isolate the objection, but really it's something else. But if they go, yeah, that makes total sense. Great, so let's do this then. Back into your close. So it's the same framework every single time. So you're going to handle the objection and then you're going to reclose. So depending on the situation, depending on the objection, you're going to actually go in and just have a call to action at the end. Your call to action, if your setting is going to be to get them to book the appointment, your call to action, if your closing is to get them to take the order. It's simple as that. So you've got loads of ways you can do it. You can have an invitational close, you can have an arm around the shoulder close, you can have an either or close, you can do lots of different types of closing. Again, I've done videos on closing before. I don't want to get too deep into that and make this video 3 hours long. But the key thing is you actually do that call to action. It's so pivotal, because what will happen is their brain will go, yeah, okay, let's do this, let's go. They're nervous, right? This is for a lot, depending on what you're selling, but if you're in a high ticket space, the chances are these guys are a little bit uncomfortable with what you're selling. So they're nervous, they've got butterflies in their stomach. So you've got to be that leader that they need and have that conviction of showcasing that you can help them get over the line. So hopefully you can see from this video, and you're probably thinking back now of all of your objections, all your objection handles, they should follow the same framework. You acknowledge the objection, you isolate the objection, you handle it, then you reclose. Make sure you're reclosing. Now, I promised I would link the video that I was talking about earlier on with the different objection handles. I'm going to link that here. So if you are struggling with objection handling, have a look. And as you go through, take a look at the objections and have a look at the framework. They all follow a very similar pattern, which hopefully you'll know that like the back of your hand by now.